So how I became interested in art is um, it's, I mean, I think it's a story that probably a lot of people have, where I wasn't interested as much in art when I was young, and I became more interested in it as an adult. And actually, it was a very it's funny because my mom is an art teacher and an artist, and there are a lot of artists in my family and architects. And so I guess I was absorbing all of that. I mean, my mom was always doing projects with me, but it was her thing. It wasn't my thing. So I may have been doing that subconsciously, like, no, I'm not you, mom. But really it was so much a part of me as it came, it came out later in life when I became a mom. I made t-shirts for my daughter. I started just doing all these things, and it wasn't art making. It was more sort of design and had to do with whatever, it wasn't fine art, and it wasn't satisfying to me. And then I moved to New York City, and the energy here and just going to museums and galleries, it just became a very strong feeling that I needed to use my hands and get my hands dirty. And so I started experimenting with collage. I took courses and classes, and just became friends with a lot of artists, and collage was kind of my main medium. And mixed media, I'm pretty much self-taught, with the exception of some really great teachers that I've had along the way. But it's been something that I've been driving myself. But my background is also in writing, so I spent a lot. Before I moved to New York, I was a freelance writer and a journalist, and so I guess I've always been interested in telling stories and in communication. And I think art is just another form. It's a visual communication. And I've come to understand that over time.
This association of like you being a writer and really going as a training for that, and now really enjoying this medium of drawing. And I'm sure it makes a different angle and a lens to your work. And I hear that you have also worked with other artists, and you are also interested in kind of collaborative art thing. You want to tell us anything about any of the projects you have done or are working right now on?
Yeah, I mean, art has brought so much to me and has helped me understand myself so much deeper. And so I just feel like that I want to share that. So if there's any way I can help facilitate that in community, I think that, that's what I want to do with my time. Like, that really excites me.
So let me pull up the website which you have kind of put all your current exploration onto. So I'm going to share my screen.
So blind contour drawing is basically taking a pen and a piece of paper. I'm working in my sketchbook, and I use just one drawing per page on my sketchbook, and I take an object in my home, and then I just look at the object and I draw it without looking at the paper. So I'm just, it's very simple, and it takes literally like less than a minute to do. And I really try to not, peek. Sometimes I will look down just to like if it's a very complicated, like this stool, it's kind of complicated and there's like different parts to it. So I will reposition my hand once or twice just to make sure that I'm kind of in the right place. But then the rest is blind, so I'm really not looking. And was so interested in the shapes that came out of it, and just the simplicity of the shapes and the resulting object. I'm hoping that this collection of objects, I'll keep adding to it, will kind of be a portrait of me. And also each drawing is kind of magical because you are having to trust your intuition in your hand, and you're not using your your sight to, you're not using your sight in the way that you normally do. You're looking at something and then just trusting your hand to follow your eye around the object. So you can see.
Yeah. Perfect. This will be awesome.
Okay. So it's the book is in front of me, but I'm not looking at it.
Okay.
I'm just looking at the scissors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna start. Usually the book is a little further away, but I'm really trying not to. Okay.
Right.
And then I wanted to share that I experimented with doing the drawings on paper, like on, I have a bunch of these old books. And so I would just instead of doing it on a white piece of paper, I was drawing them on pages of a book, and then using those drawings as little collage pieces. And
very interesting.
Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to experiment with how do I use these shapes. And what's interesting, just so you can see, I was drawing this mug. But what's interesting is also Matisse in his later years, at the end of his life, he was doing blind contour cutting. Like, so he was doing paper cutting, and he would take, a piece of paper, and he would look at a mug like this, or any photographs of someone or a dancer or a circus performer, and then it would be like a simplified, or just a very simplified version of the object to get an inspiration for a shape. So yeah, so that was a big part of his work later in life. When you see that, when you let go of the control and something interesting happens, it's very freeing and it's very inspiring. And so I think it's a good practice for anyone to get in touch with that part of it. And these drawings are very childlike, like these are like, and we're all trying to get back to that, because we get in our own way, and then it takes something out of what the result, you feel someone in their own way. And so children's drawings are so whimsical and so creative, and so I do think that people can sort of tap into that through this process. And I think it does, it can be hard to let go, but just doing it, and like a practice, any kind of practice, it's like a meditation, any kind of practice, it just takes time. So, yeah, so I don't know, I have a lot of things that I'm working on, and I feel like they all connect, but I'm not quite sure how they're all gonna connect, but I will let you know so I figure it out.
Good luck with all this creative, fun stuff, and thanks for sharing today.
Thanks, Niti.